welcome back to our online virtual art room for Curtis. I want to welcome you to our first art lesson this week, and I wore a shirt that I thought was really appropriate. I bought this shirt for Dr. Seuss's birthday recently, and it says, "I will teach art here or there, I will teach art everywhere," which is ironic this week because it takes on a whole new meaning, doesn't it? So I've been preparing some videos for you and some information on different resources for you for lessons that I think you're going to have fun with this week. I hope you all are well and have a great week making art. This week we're going to talk about symmetry in art and how artists use symmetry. Symmetry is when a shape or a design can be divided in the middle, and this design will be the same on both sides. The left side and the right side match. In art, artists use shapes and color to show symmetry in their design. Symmetry can also be found in nature. Sometimes symmetry can be something that man has made. Like in India, the Taj Mahal is a structure that, if divided in the middle, looks the same on both sides. Butterflies are another example of symmetry in nature. This monarch butterfly has the same color, shapes, and lines on both sides of his wings, and they are exactly a match. Today we're going to use a piece of drawing paper to do a drawing of a symmetrical butterfly. I'm going to be using a pencil and a crayon. And the paper I have that I'm using is just a piece of white copy paper from the printer. The first thing we're going to need to do is find the line of symmetry or fold in the paper. So we'll need to fold it in half. When you're folding paper, it's easiest to hold the edges with one hand and use a finger to tightly or press down with your fingernail to crease the other side. Once you've folded your paper, then you can open the paper back up, and the fold line down the center of the paper will now be our line of symmetry for our butterfly drawing. We're only going to draw one side, one half. So you can draw on the right side or the left side, but only one side. I'm going to be drawing on the left side. The first thing I want to think about is the shape for my butterfly wing. Butterfly wings usually have a top and a bottom wing, so I'm going to draw a large curve at the bottom that matches the curve at the top. And now I'm thinking, maybe I want it a little bit skinnier, so that's why I drew with a pencil first instead of a crayon. And I'm going to adjust the bottom wing and make it just a little bit different shape and go ahead and erase what I didn't want there in the first place. Once you have the shape of your butterfly wing on one half of your paper, then you can think of different round shapes like circles, ovals to fill in the design, or lines that are curved. And I'm thinking of how the monarch butterfly had some orange and black stripes, so I'm going to add some lines on my butterfly wing. Another thing you can think of is drawing a line that copies part of your design and then loops around and goes back to the beginning to create a new shape. Once all of the designs are in and you're satisfied with the lines and shapes that you've got, the next step is to take a crayon. I'm using a black crayon. Any crayon will work, any color. The darker crayons might be easier to see than the lighter ones like yellow or pink, but those would still work too. So any colored crayon is going to be used to help us get the outline of our design traced over. And the reason we're using a crayon is because we want that waxy material from the crayon on the paper. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to make it show up or appear on the other side of your paper without having to draw it again. And for this reason, a colored pencil probably wouldn't work that well, and a marker probably wouldn't work that well. We definitely need something with a waxy coating like a crayon. When you're finished with your design, we're going to fold the paper back over. And because I have a thin copy paper, I can actually kind of see through it to the design underneath. Next, we're using a spoon or something, anything that's a hard object that you can rub the paper with. A spoon probably works best if you flip it over and use the edge of the spoon to rub and press kind of hard. You're going to give a little pressure, rubbing right over where you can see. I can actually see through the paper to see where the line is, and then rub right over top of where that line is with the edge of my spoon. I'm going to keep doing this to all the lines I've drawn and all the shapes that I've drawn, just on the edge. I don't need to rub the whole entire paper. I'm just rubbing on each line where I see the line. And while I'm finishing this up, we can talk about if you don't have, if you have something to rub with, like a spoon or a hard object, another option would be to fold the paper back the opposite direction and put the paper on a light surface like a window where you can actually see the sunlight through the window to trace it. So I'm almost done rubbing all the lines, and when I'm finished, I'm going to open the paper up and see what showed up on the right side or the other side. Oh, look, there it is. I can see my design, and it has the exact shape, the exact lines as the other side. If you don't see your design showing up, it probably means you should go back and make the crayon lines a little darker by tracing over them several times or pressing a little bit harder with your crayon. But if you've traced it hard enough and you rub with the edge of a hard object like a spoon, you should be able to have enough of a guideline there to trace over. Oops, made a little mistake there. I didn't mean to trace that much. Well, you know, sometimes mistakes happen in art, so I guess the best way to make this stay symmetrical is to just do the same thing on the other side. So I've got to do the same thing. Remember, if it has symmetry, it's exactly the same on both sides, mistakes and all. That's a happy oops. After you've got your design looking symmetrical, you could add color. Now I'm sticking with crayons because that's what I have to work with, but remember, if I put red on one side, then I need to look for the same shape and same part of my design on the other side to use that same color, because the colors and the lines need to be symmetrical too. All of the areas don't have to be colored solid. You could think of some nice patterns using different lines that we've learned in the art room to fill in your butterfly design. You can use a variety of colors. When you're working with different colors, sometimes it's a nice idea to use it in more than one place. So notice I used the red in the circle, and I also used the red again somewhere else in the butterfly to kind of give it some unity or tie all the colors together. When you're coloring a larger area in solid, like my purple shape is a lot bigger than the little red circle I colored, still use the same short strokes with your hand, not your whole arm. Remember, we want to color a little bit at a time to try to cover the whole paper that we're coloring and not miss any spots. So I'm going to keep working on adding color and adding lines and filling in my butterfly with all the different colors of crayons that I have. If you don't have any crayons, again, we talked last week about other art supplies you might use, like colored pencils, markers, even pens, different color. Or if all you have is a drawing pencil, you could experiment with different ways to make that pencil have different values or designs by pressing light on the pencil, dark on the pencil, using your pencil to fill in with different patterns, with different line patterns in different areas, and you could still come up with a butterfly design with just a pencil and a piece of paper, a crayon, and a spoon. I'll be right back to show you my finished product. There we go. There's my finished symmetrical butterfly. And I was thinking, with everybody in their home these days, I might take my scissors and cut the butterfly out to hang in my window for the neighbors to see. So maybe you'll think of sharing your art with your neighbors too.